Welcome to the Power Platform Show. Full show notes for this episode can be found at nz365guy.com/262. Before we chat with today's guest, here's a quick message from our sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by ISV Connected. ISV Connected is a forum where Microsoft Business Application ISVs can connect, share, and benchmark themselves with other ISVs. After all, navigating the Microsoft ISV landscape is easier with friends. Sign up today, it's free at isvconnected.com. Now, let's get on with the show. Today's guest is from England. He works for TSG as a solution architect in Dynamics 365 in the Power Platform. He's a cinephile or a lover of movies. You can find him on YouTube, where he has a very successful YouTube channel called Matt Collins Shows, or you can look at his website at D365 Geek. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me here today.
Good to have you on the show. I was just actually doing a little perusal of your videos on YouTube, and interesting enough, I'm actually involved in training a bunch of folks around the world at the moment.
Nice.
I'm on contract, and what I've been training them on, of course, is one of the things anyhow is Power Automate. And I found oftentimes I was jumping into your videos just to, refresh my thinking on things. Yeah, I think you've done some very clear and concise video content on YouTube, and it's impressive stuff, mate.
Thank you. You're not the only one that uses it. I use it all the time. It's my learning out loud, so I kind of refer back to it because I'm sure I need this sort of syntax here, or I'm sure this works in this way. So
it's a good reference library.
Yeah, I'm glad it's being useful for other people, not just me.
Yeah, fantastic. Anyhow, before we get into your love of technology and what you've been doing in the last couple of years, tell me a bit about, what's family, what food are you into, and what do you do for fun? Actually, where specifically in the UK are you based?
I'm based in Manchester. So
Manchester.
Mancunian born and bred.
So you're Manchester United fan?
So that's an interesting story. So yes, so technically I am a Manchester United fan. I say technically because, so in my household, my mum is a City supporter. My dad is a part-time United supporter and part-time Spurs supporter. And then me, my brother, and my sister were all raised as United supporters because we lived in Manchester. And then my sister married an Arsenal supporter, so now she's an Arsenal supporter. So on Derby Day for Arsenal Spurs, that's interesting. And on Derby Day for United City, that's interesting as well.
Nice.
I don't tend to follow football too much anymore. I don't have a TV for starters to watch.
Same with me. Yeah. I don't either. So haven't had for some years. Tell me about anyhow. What's the things to do in Manchester, and what do you do when you're not working?
So I live with my wife and two cats in Manchester. We live right by a county park, so we're right on the cusp of it. It's got like waterfalls and like lovely scenery, and I've kind of grown up around kind of urban areas my whole life. So moving to this area, it was really nice because we can just like walk straight out of the house, and in 2 minutes we're in a county park. There's deer there, there's all sorts of wildlife. So we love to kind of walk around. If we weren't in the middle of a pandemic, we'd be going down to the local sort of like town centre, grabbing coffees, going to the cinema, going to local game shops and things like that, because I'm a big computer game fan as well. So love doing stuff like that, and we're also big foodies. So
nice.
Got a bit of a thing for Asian food, so Japanese, Chinese food sort of stuff. So always trying to find the best ramen restaurants and the best sushi restaurants and stuff like that. And that's usually our thing that makes us happy is trying to find that nice food place to go to next.
Very nice, very nice. Now you touched on their gaming. Are you like a console gamer, a PC, or what's your tool of choice?
So I am mainly a console gamer. Grew up on the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendos, and then ever since it's kind of been each generation. I just got myself a Xbox Series X. So
Oh wow.
Microsoft through and through in that respect. In that respect.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Do you love it? Like I've looked at a lot of the unboxing and demos and stuff on it. Do you rate it?
Oh yeah, it's exactly what you want from a console. It is just more speed, more power, more fidelity, and stuff like that. I don't have a 4K TV or a HDR TV, so I can't take full advantage of all that. But just the fact that load times they go from minutes to seconds now, that's a game changer for me. Just to switch out from Red Dead Redemption to Gears of War to Grim Fandango within seconds.
Nice. And so, are you buying any games these days on disc, or are you pretty much all just digital download?
So that's interesting. So I bought a Series X, and if you're not familiar with the current generation of consoles, the Series X is the more powerful with a disk drive, and the Series S is a digital only version.
Gotcha.
And I thought, I want the bigger one, I want the more powerful one, but I didn't buy a single game for it. And this kind of some people may call it laziness, but I call it efficientness, being more efficient, is I don't want to have to get up and go to my cupboard and find a game and put it in and then take it out. And then so I just go all digital myself. So there's not been a disc in it yet, and I've had it for about 2 weeks. So
No,
it'll be a Blu-ray drive. Yeah.
So have you upgraded the storage on it?
So I already have a USB 3 2 terabyte drive, but I've not brought myself to buy the £230 custom SSD that goes in the back of it yet. So I'm thinking I don't need it just yet. I've still got 700-800 gigs of space. A lot of my games are still on my USB drive anyway. So I think long term, probably maybe it comes down in price a little bit, but right now I think I'm okay.
Nice. Anyhow, we digress from what we're covering on the show. Now, I first met you a couple of years ago now in Amsterdam. It was a summit event. What was the most memorable part of that event for you?
Do you remember that event?
Well, see, I remember you at that event for a very specific thing. It was a good night out, right?
Yeah, it was loads of fun. It was my first foray into community in a big way. So before that, I kind of attended local user groups here in the UK. I went to my first user group about 5 years ago in the UK when Adam Vera was still running the show. But then when we went to Amsterdam, that was kind of like, wow, you have all these juggernauts of the community that I've looked up to for so long, all in one place. So I was sat next to Gus Gonzalez and Emma Darcy, and you were there, and Sarah Critchley, and it was just it was. I don't think we're going to get anything like that again for a little while.
I agree.
But I mean, Scottish Summit was great this year. That was a great time to great last hurrah. If you're gonna go out in style at Scottish Summit. But it's been an interesting time for in-person events recently.
And definitely, I mean, because you really have grown in the community massively since then, and created quite a high profile for yourself. But how did you land into bizaps? Like, what was your pathway into bizaps?
So I asked this same question on my podcast because I'm really interested in people's origin stories, because I kind of like mine. So I came out of university, had my degree in hand, and I'm like, right, okay, time to find a job. And you'd start searching, and I landed my first job, and it was a support job for a company that did RFID technology. So, So it kind of had two arms of the business. It was supply chain for tracking food from suppliers to Marks and Spencers, and also self-service in libraries. And the internal systems that we used there was CRM 4.0 on premise. And coming out of university, start on the support desk, my boss kind of turns to me and says, "Oh, you were at university. You know about computers and databases and stuff like that. We don't really have a support contract for our CRM system. Would you like to start making some changes to the production environment?
Wow.
And what do you say other than yes?
Yes.
And at that job, I kind of moved around in roles a little bit, but all the while, I was one of the people that was customizing the system and training people and troubleshooting things. And I was just loving it, but the business weren't ready to commit to a full-time role for me there in bizaps. And my boss turned around to me one day, and I'll still remember this years after years, is that we're sat there on a Saturday morning, spending our Saturday in the office working on the system because we were a global business. We couldn't do it after work, so it was all weekend work. And he said, "Did you know that people get paid to do this for a living?" And I said, "You're kidding me." And I went home and I was like, wow, there are jobs out here doing this thing that I love. So I put out a few CVs, and the next Saturday I was in the office and he said to me, "We really need to get our CVs up to date and get out of here, don't we?" And I said, "I've already done it and I have a job interview next week." And he said, "Well done." And I then moved to my current company, TSG, as a support consultant. And I've not looked back. It's just, it was the thing that I wanted to do. And I was so grateful that I had a boss that just went, "Do you know what? Yes, just go do it. I'm not going to stop you. If anything, I'm going to encourage you to go follow your dreams." And I could not be happier in this environment.
That is so cool. That is so cool. So fast forward to today, what is your roles and responsibilities? What do you typically do? Let's say across the last 6 months, what have kind of been the key things and areas you've worked in?
Yeah, so I've had a promotion in the last couple of months, so I'm now a solution architect in our solution architecture practice here at TSG, and it's a very hot buzzword at the moment, solution architect. So the main roles and responsibilities are kind of looking at what we would call multi-siloed projects. So traditionally, I've done core CE, CDS, Dataverse projects, whatever we're calling it these days, focusing on processes and things like that. But now I'm working on those much bigger pieces. So I'm working on custom integration pieces with Business Central. So a project that has a Business Central and a CDS aspect running simultaneously with big integrations. I'm running on a project that touches a massive stack. So we've got custom teams integration. We've got a sales, a Dynamics 365 sales system. We've got Azure apps that are going to be calling functions to be creating teams, and there's all this exchange stuff, and all these crazy pieces together that I have to kind of go, okay, we need a little bit of this, we need a little bit of that, and I need this person from this team, and try and jigsaw it all together into a solution that A, will work, and B, will meet all requirements, and C, be something that is supportable going forward. Mm-hmm. So the main roles around looking at those much bigger projects that span multiple areas in the Microsoft stack, bringing them all together, designing systems. But I'm still doing my day-to-day. I'm still building stuff because that's where the fun is, really, isn't it? I'm still training people. I'm still doing documentation and all that sort of stuff. But I've really loved the idea of being able to, you hear all those talks from like Satya and all those other people about, we've got Azure and we've got this and we've got that, and working in a CE practice, you occasionally get a good project like that. Now in the solution architecture practice, I constantly have projects like that, and that's what's so much fun.
So cool. Have you done anything with Azure Synapse?
I haven't. I've done some stuff with Azure sort of cognitive services and things like that. Calling those from Canvas apps is really cool. But not. Have you had much experience with Synapse at the moment? Yeah.
It is an interesting area. So tell me about Power Automate, particularly if I look at your YouTube channel right now, and I look at some high level stats. You've got 377 videos up there. That's a fair chunk of videos. In the last 30 days, you've had 20,000 visitors. watching those videos, or 141,000 views across them. And that's, extremely impressive. Tell me about your Power Automate journey, because it seems that you took a particular bead on this area. And as I was saying pre this call, I've actually watched many of your videos as I've needed, a bit more understanding of expressions. It was the most recent one I was looking at of yours, and I found that your videos are very concise. They answer the question without too much verbiage or all over the place with fluff, which I really love. I'm wanting to dip in, get the information. It seems that you've created this massive, collection of deep dives into discrete areas of Power Automate, and it's a real credit to you. But tell me about why you chose Power Automate to focus on, and how you did produce these 377 odd videos.
Yeah, that's a little bit crazy, isn't it? Because that's in 12 months as well. So
in 12 months,
in 12
wow.
months.
So that's one a day, pretty much. Well, more than one a day, right?
That is one a day. So and it's really interesting that you can see those stats. I didn't realize other people can see those stats.
So that I could see your stats.
Yeah. I didn't realize you could see that on YouTube.
I've got a third-party tool.
Oh, you got ways. You got ways.
Yeah. I've got a third-party tool that allows me to see how you're performing, and what's your density of keywords on your channel. What are you known for?
Nice.
I can look at your number of subscribers in the last 30 days. Your videos that you produced in the last 30 days, and your views in the last 30 days.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So it's called Tubebuddy if you want to grab it. It's it's a handy little, just plug straight into the web page type thing. And for somebody that has a YouTube channel like you've got, it's a good way to know kind of what's driving, what are people interested in seeing more of from you as well, So just with a look.
Oh, definitely. The videos. There's a guy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. There's a guy called Mark Spith. He released a video and he said, "Become known for something." And pick a technology and just become known for it. So I took his advice. Very smart man.
Nice.
And when I was thinking about what I wanted to become known for and what I really wanted to focus on, I came back to my origins. So again, like the idea of where I started in business applications as an end user of Dynamics and then starting to build workflows. I love that automation side. There's nothing quite like triggering a workflow and then seeing it actually do the thing that you thought it was going to do, because there's always that worry. So I decided to look at Power Automate because I could see it was going to be the future. It was where Microsoft were pushing it, and I just thought, let's just learn it. Let's learn it, and we'll produce some content for it. We'll do something. But I thought, what's the best way to learn? And my problem was that every time I came to Power Automate, I came to it with a problem. So I would get a requirement from a customer that says, "Hey, I want to do this thing," and I'd sit there and I'd go, well, I could get a developer to write a plugin for it and something. I was like, maybe I can use Power Automate, and I'd go to it and I'd figure it all out, and I'd spend a day or something on figuring this whole thing, and then that'd be it, and I wouldn't touch Power Automate again for 2 months, however long. So I thought that's no good. I can't keep starting at problems and understand this technology properly. So I went back to basics and I went, okay, let's learn every single part of this system. Let's click every button and let's see what all those buttons do. And then let's click other buttons after we've clicked that first button and then see what that does. So I started from the very beginning, and I knew ahead of time, because I kind of saw this, that I have a terrible memory. So I'm going to learn this, but then I'm going to forget it. I'm not going to forget it completely. It's going to be there in the back of my mind, but I'm not going to remember it off by heart every single time. And it goes back to the start of this where I said, I reference my stuff all the time. So I just started documenting every single bit. And it was like, right, what does this bit do? Okay, what does this expression do? Okay, what does the next expression do? How can I use these expressions? And the thing about it is that you could look at the the Microsoft Docs site for the expressions, for the workflow definition language, and how you can use functions and expressions in there. And it's good. It'll give you some examples, but it's not kept up to date and it's not always accurate. So I knew that if I was just going to rely on docs or other people's websites, that I'd be constantly searching. So I just documented every single thing. So I started at the beginning. I started with the basics of how to use, back then, Microsoft Flow. And then I just went, okay, I'll document this bit and this bit and this bit. So I thought, I'm going to start releasing this content. I'm going to start producing it. What else can I do? And I was inspired by Malin Martinez, who's a MVP
up in Norway.
Yes, Norway.
Yeah.
I always interchange Norway and Sweden. I was like, make sure you get the right one. This is being recorded. So she's in Norway, and what she did was she wrote a blog post every day for 6 months, and I thought that's fantastic. That
was on the HR side of things, right? She was focusing on.
Yeah, that was on HR. And she dedicated herself to, and she was kind of in the same situation. She was like faced with this product. There wasn't a lot of information out there. I mean, there's tons of information out there now about Power Automate, but she just wanted to focus on each bit of it so that she had it and she could reference it. So I was inspired by her, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do a 30-day challenge. So I will challenge myself to produce and release a video once a day for 30 days. And I decided to call it MS Flowvember.
Nice.
So it started in November 1st last year, and the idea was that I was going to release these videos, and I was hoping to try and gain some sort of interest around it. So I wanted to raise money for charity. You've met me, Mark. Would you call me an elite athlete?
I know you've got a similar hairstyle to mine, and maybe a similar body shape. So I hear you.
So I can't climb mountains, although I actually have climbed mountains. I can't run marathons, but what I can do is I can teach people something. So I decided to raise money for the Mind charity in the UK.
Nice.
They're a mental health charity in the UK that help people with different mental health issues, from sort of anxiety, depression, addictions and things like that. Yeah. And they're a charity that is very close to my heart. And I decided to raise money. So I asked the community whether they would donate money to the cause. And I said, if you don't have money, because I understand not everyone has money to donate to charity. I said, for every view of my video that you watch, I'll donate money to charity. So
that's so cool, man. That's so cool.
Yeah, well, I always think charity begins at home. So you start from that. So I said, if you can't donate, just watch a video. That it'll take 3 to 5 minutes of your life. Watch a video, I'll donate money. With the help of the community and my own donations, we raised over £400 for Mind in the UK in November.
Wow. That's amazing.
Thank you. So I produced all these videos, and I took a piece of advice from someone a long time ago, which was, don't produce one video and then just release it and see what the reaction is. Have a bunch of them so that when people may like that first one, you have more of them. So I batched up a bunch of things already. Brilliant. And by the time I'd finished the 30 days, I actually had another 8 to 10 videos ready to go. So I thought, well, let's just carry on with it. Let's just keep learning, keep teaching. And it's been a fantastic experience for myself, because I know I've learned so much of Power Automate. And then at the end of that 366 days, because we're in a leap year, with a bonus video, and even when Microsoft changed the name of the product, 30 days into an MS Flowvember series where everything references Microsoft Flow. I concluded on the 31st of October with 367 videos, I think it was in the end.
Wow.
Posting one a day, every single day. And yeah, that's probably the thing I'm most proud of in the last 12 months.
Simply amazing. And then tell me what happened in that first week in November.
So I said, you know what, I'm going to take some time off. I'm going to spend some time with my wife. I'm going to relax a bit. So 31st of October, everything ends. I did contemplate having a bonus video on the 1st just to like mess with people, but I thought, I better not. And then on the 1st of November, Microsoft awarded me the MVP for business applications.
Love it. I love it. Like, that was such a brilliant story, because I saw, we'd already started the conversation doing this podcast that point. And what was amazing is that, here you'd reach that target you'd set yourself. And I saw you post and say, I'm done. I'm going to take a bit of a break now. And then the next day you post going, oh my gosh, I'm an MVP. It was epic to see that whole journey. And of course, you also had a lot of people rooting for you in the community, which I think was fantastic.
Yeah, I do have a good friend base here.
Yeah.
that were all cheering me on along the way. So it was always nice to hear people say nice things about me. And finally, when November 1st rolled around, it's one of those things of, I was genuinely happy, and I think people were genuinely happy for me.
Exactly.
So it was really nice to kind of dovetail the end of that story into my next story.
Yeah. So I want to jump in and talk about something I've seen that you're doing around flow surgery. But before we get there, just back on, this big feat of creating this video a day. A lot of people struggle with a bit of the practicalities of that. And so I just want to unpack that slightly before we move forward.
Okay.
So first of all, how did you do the recording of your videos?
So I took a piece of advice. I take a lot of advice, I found, in my life, which is always good to have a lot of inputs. John Levesque, who is, I think his title is Power Platform Evangelist. He kind of heads up the Flow group, and now he's working on the PVA group.
I think he's pivoted, right? He's pivoted from Power Automate to Power Virtual Agents.
Yeah. So he said in one of his videos, whatever you can do is good enough. And whatever you do is like awesome, and whatever you can do is good enough, as long as it's good enough for you. So I've seen people who spend thousands on video making software and all these things. I just found a free one, and it works like PowerPoint. So you create slides, and you can record video and audio on top of that. So all and it kind of shows. All it is just a first slide that runs for, I think, 10 seconds or something, and I just update the title of the video with like the connector and or the expression or whatever I'm doing. I have an end slide, and then I have the software just it's called Active Presenter, and it just records all the video and all the audio, and you can specify the dimensions and everything. So it was really simple. So I just record all that most of the time in just one go, because I've done some testing beforehand. And when I upload it to YouTube, again, everything's super simple, because the start is long enough that the pop-up card is like the intro slide. So it just perfectly worked. But producing a video a day was difficult. So the practicality of it was a lot of late nights, a lot of weekends where I'd say to my wife, I'm going to make some videos for 3 hours, 4 hours and stuff like that. And I'd come back and I'd like have no voice anymore.
Exactly.
So she's looking forward to getting me back on a few more weekends and things like that. And I'm looking forward to it too.
And so, although you're producing one video a day, you're actually batching maybe 5 to 10 at a time, which was a couple of hours, 3, 4, 5 hours of work, and then you were releasing them on that schedule that you'd set for yourself, right?
Absolutely, because I realized that things happen in daily life. It's really hard to produce a video, and I actually got really sick at one point as well, and lost my voice. So I was really happy that I'd actually batched up, I think, 8 or 9 videos at that point. So there's a period in my videos where people complain about the audio a little bit, and it's because I'm really sick at the time, and I'm trying to get a few more videos out because I knew I'd just lose my voice and wouldn't be able to do it. So, but it's what these things happen.
It's so good. It's so good. And so kind of what then was the format for your videos? You know, kind of like what was the template that you were working to in your mind? Was it like, I'm going to put out a 7-minute video. I'm going to do intro the topic, outro the topic at the end, and then there's going to be 5 particular points I want to land? Like, did you have a kind of a framework more than a template that you were working to for those videos?
Yeah, so it generally starts off with what I'm trying to show. So I want to show a specific part of the platform, a specific expression, a specific action or trigger, how things are triggered, what each field means. So trying to start off with a bit of an intro in terms of what it is, and then I go through each step individually. I write all the expressions. I try to explain what I'm doing as I'm going along, explain that there are probably multiple ways to do this. So I'm not going to show you every way. I'm going to show you this that'll give you an idea of what you can do with it. And then at the end, I kind of talk about what's happened, what those outputs are, and also some ideas for how you can use it. So the idea of it is that I'm not going to show a complete solution to a specific business problem. And that's kind of what you said, is that they're small, concise pieces of content designed to educate in a certain way. I could spend 30 minutes, an hour creating a video going through a very specific business problem. And maybe a part of that shows a small thing that would be useful to a user for their problem that isn't exactly your problem. But I didn't like that approach. I wanted small bite-sized content that is just, hey, there's this specific part of the system. What does it do? What's the syntax? What are the outputs? How do we get this to work for what we need right now? Because the possibilities of what you can do with Power Automate are kind of endless. It's like, you can connect to over 400 data sources. You can do loads of developer-y technique things like loops and arrays and, call APIs and all that sort of stuff. So I don't want to show you a full end-to-end solution, because that's only going to be useful probably for people that have that exact problem or that requirement. I want to show you what each part of the system does. And therefore, when you come to my video, you will be able to figure out what it does and if that suits your situation. So at the end of it, I give some scenarios of how you could use it, and then kind of ask the audience, like, what do you use this for? Like, if you use this action, what do you use it for? And do you use it in any ways that I've not thought of? Because I love to learn and I love to, find out how people are using the platform so that I get better at what I'm doing. And that's kind of the framework. It's kind of, intro, what everything does, what you could use it for, and just let me know, because I want to learn as well.
I love it. I love it. Tell me about Flow Surgery. What is it? Tell me how it came about.
So one of my friends who you've had on this show, Claire Carmichael, I approached her about speaking at the Virtual Power Group Scotland. So the Virtual Power Group, if you've not heard Mark's episode, you should really go back and listen to that episode, because it's great with Claire. But the Virtual Power Group was a bunch of people in Scotland, in the UK, that when they got to Scottish Summit, they realized that they'd not seen each other for like a year. And most of them live relatively close to each other. So the idea was hatched to create a community that would help people. So you could teach things on certain nights, you could have a community forum, you could do all these things. And Paddy and Reese and Claire and everyone else involved have been doing a fantastic job with it. And I approached Claire, say, hey, do you have any opportunities for me to speak? It was at the start of the kind of pandemic, so all the in-person events are cancelled. So I was looking for a few more virtual events, and I said, hey, is there any opportunity for me? And she said, Matt, you're a flow god. I think those are exact words. We'd love
I love it.
We'd love to have you come and talk about flow. So I went along and I did an intro to flow, intro to Power Automate. Automate and how you use it, and various things. And then we kind of it's a relaxed environment because it's not recorded through the whole thing. So at the end kind of the presentation, you shut off the recording and you can have a chat with no repercussions. Is probably the wrong word, but kind of there's no pressure to like say the right thing.
No one's going to play back the blooper reel later type thing, right?
Exactly, because I say a lot of stuff, and that's not recorded. So that's great. And it was someone came along who is called Dee. She works for Incremental. She's big in the marketing space, and she asked a question based on a potential requirement of a customer, which was, can you use Power Automate to set a multi-select option set? Because it's a bit of a parity gap with workflows.
Do option set exist anymore?
Oh, sorry, choices.
Choices. There we go. Yes.
So she wanted to set a choices with Power Automate, and I said, yeah, I'm sure we can do that. In kind of the whole you're asking me a question and I'm in front of all these people and I should know the answer sort of way. Sure, yeah, let's say yes. And Claire contacted me afterwards and she said that was a really great session. People really seemed to love it, and she said, would you be up for doing a regular session? And the idea of it is that we all have all these problems, and we all don't know the answers, and we asked in disparate forums and Slack groups and Teams and everything else. How about when people have a problem, we come together as a community and we talk about it and we figure out the answer together? So the flow surgery is me basically talking about a business scenario. So someone has an issue of, I need to set a multi-select option set. How do we do it? So I kind of guide the session mainly. So I'm in control. I'm showing a flow. I'm showing, a system. And then I'll pose a question of like, oh, I've come to this bit. How do we do this? And then someone chimes up and says, oh, you need to convert that into an array, or you need to parse the JSON, or you need to do this. And then I'll carry on. And then someone else say, oh, if you do this, it'll actually make the flow more efficient. So it's an hour every month where we kind of get together and we build as a community. And I'm just the chaperone, the kind of the puppet master, just clicking all the buttons, trying to impart some of my knowledge while also gaining some knowledge from other people. We just build something as a community to try and help people that have a certain scenario, and also just educate people on people that just don't have the time to spend learning and producing 367 videos in a year to learn a platform. So that's kind of where that came from, and it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. So if people want to kind of get in there and bring their problems, where do they go? How do they do it?
So it is the Virtual Power Group. If you type that into Google, you'll find that. I don't know the exact link. I should really know. But you can sign up on there. You get access to a Microsoft Teams environment, and that's where everything's coordinated. There are several sessions. So there's the flow surgery, which is once a month. Paddy Byrne, who I know you've interviewed before, he's got a Power Apps night session. So I think it's every Monday. You can come learn Power Apps with him. And there's various other sessions. There's a session ongoing at the moment on adaptive cards. So, there's so much great content for the Virtual Power Group. They're also on Twitter as well. I think it's Virtual Power GRP.
We will make sure I'll put them in the show notes so people can just click through on those. I was just on it myself last week, I think. Great. And what a brilliant idea. I love it. The flow surgery, it sounds awesome. Tell me, Wave 2 is now well in market for this year. Any kind of key features that really pop out to you that you've been looking forward to?
Oh, God, I love the Wave releases for Dynamics and Power Platform. I remember being in the middle of a CRM UG meeting and someone said, oh, the release notes are coming out next week. And I went, yes. And everyone looked at me and like, no, I'm really excited because I love the new toys that come out. So some of those really cool things at the moment are like the rich text control. So Microsoft are really using their own technology, and they've created some cool PCF tools. So rich text control is now available. There's a new calendar in there. These are kind of much requested, and people have built like rich text controls on the PCF gallery and stuff, but now Microsoft have given us one straight out of the box. There's new configuration options to the timeline. Timeline has it's been a step up from the social pane, but we've still not had great configuration options. So there's stuff about like grouping emails and stuff like that, and sorting and filtering only certain things. So that's a really great quality of life improvement, I think, for a lot of people. There was some more enhanced email functionality. So there's now the ability to like send direct emails to multiple people, no longer needing to use like quick campaigns. There's been some updates to the editor as well. That's a lot better in this recent version. Two of my favorite points are actually the PDF generation.
Okay.
PDF generation came in a couple of versions ago, and it was kind of snuck in, but they've been slowly improving it. And they now have a function where you can enable it for any entity in the system. And when you go to generate a PDF, it's on the ribbon now, it'll pop up and give you a template, like the view of the template that you're going to select, pre-populated with the data from the record that you're looking at. So all these salespeople that need to like send quotes and things like that and want to send it as a PDF, you can just go in, select the right one, and you can get a little preview. And it's a really cool editor. And the same editor is now available in email attachments as well. So there's a proper attachment viewer. And that's a really cool feature because it's something that's been a bit of a bugbear again for a lot of customers.
Exactly.
Having to download attachments.
Love it. I mean, honestly, we could talk on. We've smoked a lot of time already, and I had heaps more to cover with you. But I think I think we might have to do another episode. I need to at least get you back on the MVP show, of course. To unpack that a bit more. But before you go, let's just wrap up with some quick fire questions that'll put you on the spot.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to ask how much you drank in Amsterdam. That's not going to be one of my questions. Okay. What's the best date you've ever been on? And I'm not talking about with whom, but I'm talking about why was it? Like what happened?
That's a really good question. I think the best date I ever went on was when I proposed to my wife. I'd planned the whole thing. We went up to a Balinese bed on top of a hotel. There were rose petals. There was carver on ice. There were like chocolates and swans and stuff like that. And it was just perfect for the proposal.
Mate, what a romantic! I love it. What do you regret not doing when you were younger?
Learning how to code. I'm not a coder. Okay. It would have been better if I'd learned earlier on.
If you could pick up a skill instantly, what would it be?
Speed reading. I'd like to read more.
Yeah, I like it. What's the biggest purchase you've ever made?
I bought, other than a house, I bought a brand new Dell XPS 15 a couple of years ago, 4K screen and everything. It was about $2 and a bit grand.
Wow. And we're talking pounds, people, so that's probably double whatever your currency is. As that's what I find in New Zealand. It's definitely double, if not 3 times. Would you rather be slightly late or super early?
Always early.
Interesting. What's the one thing that creeps you out? What's the one thing you like that creeps other people out?
I think like weird food stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say like eating haggis or something like that.
Yeah, so I'm watching an anime at the moment and they keep talking about coffee jelly and it's like a thing and I'm just here like, do you know what? I really like coffee and I really like jelly, so...
Yeah, wow, that is interesting. I'd like to try those combos as well.
Yeah, big in Japan and not so much in the UK, US anymore, apparently.
Yeah. Matt, it's been epic to have you on the show. I've really enjoyed it. I look forward to publishing this and let's get you back again soon sometime.
Thank you for having me. It's been amazing. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Hey, thanks once again for listening. I'm your host, Business Application MVP Mark Smith. otherwise known as the NZ365 guy. If there's a guest you'd like to see on the show, please message me on LinkedIn and let me know. Please like and subscribe in your favorite podcast player. If you want to leave a review, go to nz365guy.com/review for my current reviews and options to leave your own. Otherwise, stay safe out there and see you next time.